All right, let's get started. I'm going to talk to you today about Electron, which is an open source framework for building cross-platform desktop applications using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. As some of you may or may not know, Electron was actually created as part of another project, the quote-unquote hackable lightweight text editor known as Atom. This particular module was called Atom Shell, but as the module grew and people started using it for other projects, it sort of took on a life of its own and became Electron. This whole effort was started because the team building Atom was unable to find the features that they needed from any existing desktop framework. Unable to find what they were looking for, they decided to build their own. The solution they went with was an attempt to cross the boundaries between web applications and desktop applications. They wanted a framework that incorporated the best of both worlds while leaving behind the limitations of each. They were able to achieve this by leveraging two existing technologies. They packaged Chromium with Node.js and third-party modules. They then deploy this to the host machine as a single package. So let's talk about some of the advantages this approach gives us. To start with, it's cross-platform. Since Chromium runs on all operating systems, you can build your application once and run it everywhere. This means you only need to know one programming language and maintain one source code base. Design. HTML and CSS combined with powerful layout frameworks like Bootstrap to give us the ability to build better looking and more enjoyable user interfaces. This also provides desktop application developers an opportunity to work with designers, which previously might not have been accessible to them. You can use any JavaScript framework you like. Build your applications using Angular, React, or anything else you choose. Get started quickly with the framework your team already knows, and then evolve over time to meet your customers' needs. Testability, often overlooked for desktop applications, but this approach allows you to easily test your app. Unit test with Jasmine or Mocha, and do your front-end testing with browser automation tools such as Selenium. Excellent debugging and system monitoring support. Use existing modules for crash reporting and system profiling. You also have access to Chrome's developer tools from inside the application to help identify and debug any issues you run into. Automatic updates. Keep your user happy and up to date. There are third-party frameworks for pushing updates that also allow you to streamline your deployment with OS-specific installers. By OS-specific installers, I mean Windows installers. But let's pause for a moment. So far, we've really only talked about the benefits of web technologies. Let's not forget that a part of Electron is Node.js, which allows us to interact with the host operating system. This means we can build offline applications. Web apps don't work so well in slower, disconnected environments. By packaging everything we need on the client, we're no longer dependent on that web connectivity. Gain access to the file system. We get full access to our file system and system resources. Browsers typically limit your access to the host machine, but through Node.js, you can interact with external devices, the hard drive, and system resources. Consistency. Applications are always run in Chromium, so it saves you development time, and it guarantees that your application looks and behaves the same everywhere. And the last thing I'm going to touch on is native integrations. Applications running in a browser typically don't feel like part of the host machine's ecosystem, but Electron has modules that allow you to create native-looking file menus and system notifications, which creates a closer integration with the host OS and I think a better user experience. So is Electron perfect? No. Still can't match the efficiency and performance of native applications. And unfortunately, it's extremely wasteful. At the moment, every Electron application running on your machine has its own instance of Chromium. It's still a young technology, so expect some growing pains. What is the sweet spot for Electron applications? I would say if your app needs to be offline, integrate with system resources, and run on multiple operating systems, you should seriously consider using Electron. And finally, who's using Electron? Well, a lot of people, and growing. You might already be using an Electron app and not even realize it. Slack, Visual Studio Code, Postman, obviously Atom, the list goes on. And thanks, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and hopefully it didn't come off sounding too much like a sales pitch.